Crazy Sea Stories.
The House at Hollow Creek. It began with a letter. No envelope, no stamp. Just a folded parchment slip under Noah Carter's apartment door. The handwriting was elegant, almost Victorian, and it simply read, "Mr. Carter, your presence is requested at Hollow Creek Manor to claim your inheritance. Arrive before the next full moon. Do not bring anyone. Do not leave once inside." Noah didn't recognize the name Hollow Creek. He had no known relatives left alive, and yet the letter mentioned inheritance. He thought it might be a prank or some elaborate scam, but something about the way the ink shimmered and the chill he felt while holding the paper pushed him to investigate. By the time he arrived at the manor decaying, vine-covered monstrosity miles from any main road, the sun was already sinking. The sky was a pale, bruised purple, and a low fog curled around the trees like fingers. Noah stood before the towering wooden door of Hollow Creek Manor, its black iron knocker shaped like a screaming gargoyle. He hesitated before knocking, but the door creaked open on its own. A wave of musty air, tinged with something sweet and decayed, rolled over him. Inside, the manor looked like it had been frozen in time. Candelabras flickered on their own, though he saw no signs of electricity. Portraits lined the walls, each bearing stern-eyed ancestors whose eyes seemed to follow him as he walked. An old man appeared at the top of the staircase. "You've arrived, Mr. Carter." His voice was gravel, soaked in awe. "I am Giles, the caretaker. You may not remember, but you've been here before." Noah's spine tingled. "I think you have me mistaken for someone else." Giles only smiled. "All heirs say that at first." Giles led him to a bedroom on the second floor, high ceilings, heavy velvet curtains, and a mirror that reflected the room perfectly, except Noah wasn't in it. "Sleep well, Mr. Carter," Giles said, closing the door behind him. It locked from the outside. Noah's heart pounded as he stood before the mirror that didn't show him. He waved his hand, nothing. The room behind him was clear in the reflection bed dresser, curtains swaying slightly, but he was missing. Not invisible, gone. He turned away from the mirror and tried the door. Locked, just as he expected. He didn't want to sleep, but the heaviness in the air pressed down on him. Sleep wasn't optional, it was inevitable. The dreams began immediately. In them, he was a boy again, running through the manor's halls, laughing with another child whose face was always just out of view. There were games hide and seek in dark halls, treasure hunts in the cellar, but they always ended with a scream. Every night, he woke drenched in sweat, and each morning, Giles brought him breakfast with the same greeting. Another piece has returned. Soon, the puzzle will be whole. By the fourth day, Noah had stopped eating. The food never tasted spoiled, but he swore it didn't leave his stomach. His reflection was still missing, but now, something else was there. A shadow, a shape behind him in the mirror, though when he turned, the room was empty. That night, he heard a whispering from the hallway. He pressed his ear to the door and heard it clearly. Only one heir may remain. Noah spent the next day searching every inch of his room. He pulled up floorboards, tapped on the walls, even ripped open the mattress, but found nothing except dust and old claw marks carved into the bed frame. That night, the door unlocked. No sound, no click. It simply stood open, waiting. He stepped into the hallway. The whispering had stopped. Now only silence thick enough to choke. On Noah moved cautiously, descending the grand staircase. He turned the corner and froze. Another man stood in the entryway. Same height, same build, same face. The man stared at him with wide eyes. Who are you? I'm Noah Carter, he said. No, I'm Noah Carter. They circled each other slowly, like wary animals. They said things only Noah would know, memories from childhood, his mother's lullabies, the scar on his left leg, from falling off a bike. Identical. And then Giles appeared, smiling as if the final act of a play had just begun. At last, he whispered, "The manor remembers. One of you is real. The other is what it made to forget." Noah felt a surge of musha, like the walls around him were tilting. What it made to forget. Choose, Giles said, or the house will choose for you. The two Noahs stared at each other, breath shallow, hands trembling. What does he mean, what the house made? The other Noah asked, voice cracking. Giles didn't answer. He simply turned and vanished into the darkness, leaving behind the echo of laughter, childlike, manic, and not entirely human. Noah began to remember things that weren't his. A staircase he'd never climbed. A hidden room behind a bookcase. A door in the basement made of black stone that pulsed like a heart. He saw flashes of blood on the wallpaper, something crawling on the ceiling, and a woman screaming his name in reverse. He turned to the other Noah. "Do you remember the basement?" he asked. The other nodded slowly. "Yes, and the well. I remember falling." Suddenly, it clicked. "I never fell into a well," our Noah said. The other Noah's eyes twitched. But I did. And that's when the house shook. Portraits shattered. Candles flared and went out. The walls groaned. A voice filled the air, not Giles's, but something older, deeper. One must stay, one must forget. Before he could move, black vines erupted from the floor and wrapped around the other Noah, pulling him toward the mirror, the one that never reflected our Noah. The double screamed, but not in fear and rage. You took my life," he shrieked. You were never meant to leave." And then he was gone. Silence. The mirror stood whole again, no cracks, no shadows. And this time, Noah saw himself, pale, wide-eyed, alone. He stumbled back into the hallway, heart hammering. He needed to leave, now. He rushed to the front door, grabbed the handle and stopped. No handle, just smooth wood. Behind him, the house sighed, as if relieved. The air grew warmer. The light changed. It wasn't night anymore, but it wasn't morning either. A timeless, amber glow filled the space. And then Giles was there again, at the top of the stairs. "You chose well," he said. "I didn't choose anything," Noah snapped. "You tricked me." "No," Giles replied. "You remembered. He was the one, the house made from forgotten pain, memories torn from you when you escaped years ago. You just forgot that you ever left." Noah's legs buckled. He had been here before. As a boy. He remembered now the friend who never aged, the games that grew more violent, the voice in the basement that promised safety if he let the house take part of him. So he left, and in doing so, created a reflection made from the memories he abandoned. That was the other Noah. "I want to go," Noah whispered. "You will," Giles said. "But first, there is one more room." Giles led Noah down a narrow staircase, behind a crumbling tapestry, one that hadn't been there before. The steps descended deep into the earth, the air growing colder with every breath. At the bottom was a door unlike the rest, smooth black stone, etched with symbols that seemed to shimmer and shift when stared at too long. "This is where it happened," Giles said. "Where you gave part of yourself to the house. What was left behind? It lived, it waited." Noah stepped inside. The room was circular, lined with mirrors, but in each reflection, he saw different versions of himself, laughing, bleeding, crying, growing older, younger, or not human at all. Some stared back with pity, others with hatred. In the center of the room was a well, the same one from his false memories. Or were they real? He approached it. Inside, he saw a swirling men of shadow and light. It spoke in his voice. "You can leave, but not whole. One version must stay. Always. That is the bargain." "I already chose," Noah said, trembling. "He's gone." "Gone, yes, but not enough." Suddenly, a hand his own shot from the well and grabbed his wrist. He struggled, heart racing, and in the mirrors, the other versions of himself began to scream, pounding against the glass. He had to make a choice, pull away and leave that piece of himself behind forever, or let it consume him again. He chose. With a shout, he tore free, leaving behind the hand. The Noah woke outside the manor, lying in dew-soaked grass. Morning light warmed his face. The house behind him was crumbling into ruin, vanishing in the sunlight. He stood, shaken but alive, lighter. But as he walked away, a reflection flickered in a nearby puddle, not his face, but the other Noah's, watching from beneath the water, smiling.
Crazy Sea Stories. If you like these stories, subscribe for more. In the quiet countryside of North Yorkshire, Thomas Hale, a reclusive writer, moved into an old Victorian house to escape the noise of the city. It was cheap, suspiciously cheap, but Thomas was too desperate to care. He needed solitude. He needed inspiration. What he got was something else entirely. It began on the third night. A soft, rhythmic thumping beneath the floorboards. Thomas paused mid-sentence at his typewriter. It wasn't the pipes. It wasn't the wind. It was deliberate. When he pressed his ear to the cold wooden floor, the sound stopped only to resume the moment he moved away. While cleaning the hallway closet, Thomas found a small, rotted trapdoor under a rug. It hadn't been in the floor plans. He opened it hesitantly. A wooden ladder led down into darkness, the air thick with mold and something far worse decay. He lowered his flashlight, and something down there moved. That night, he heard it. A whisper. Soft but clear.
Come back down.
It wasn't in his head. It echoed through the pipes, the walls, the very structure of the house. The floorboards thumped again, more frantically now, like fists hammering from below. He set up a voice recorder near the trapdoor before going to bed. The next morning, he played it back 3 hours in. A voice raspy and broken begged,
Let me out. It's so dark. I can't see anymore.
The voice wasn't his. It wasn't human. Driven by obsession or madness, Thomas descended into the crawlspace. The ladder creaked with every step. The basement wasn't listed in any documents. It shouldn't have existed. He found scratch marks on the walls. A child's shoe. And in the corner, a wooden cradle gently rocking. Empty. Old newspaper clippings revealed that a family once lived here in the 1890s. The father, driven mad by grief, had sealed his sick child in the basement, claiming the floor would whisper if she needed him. No one ever found the girl's body. Until now. That night, the whisper changed.
You heard me. You found me. Now stay with me.
The floor collapsed beneath Thomas. The final image. His typewriter clacking by itself, endlessly typing one phrase. Crazy Sea Stories. If you like these stories, subscribe for more.